Hi, welcome to another session of Learning with ISRAR at ISRAR'S channel. I'm ISRAR Khan Raja, and today our topic of discussion is Procurement Contract Management. I have selected this topic today for discussion because understanding of contract management is very vital for procurement professionals, since it holds the key to successful procurement endeavors, laying out the terms, conditions, and obligations that ensure that the parties involved meet their commitments without any ambiguity. Contract management plays a very important role in the procurement process by ensuring compliances, mitigating risks, and optimizing suppliers' relationship to run the procurement process very efficiently and effectively. And an effective procurement contract management helps organizations to maximize the value of their procurement activities and minimize the potential issues in the procurement process. In today's discussion, we are going to try to explain what is the contract, what is contract management, procurement contract management, elements of successful and functional procurement contract, and what are the stages and the steps of contract management process, and finally types of different procurement contracts. Now let's start with the definition of contract. So what is a contract? A contract is basically an agreement that specifies certain legally enforceable rights and obligation pertaining to two or more parties. Typically, it involves consent to transfer of goods, services, money, or promise to transfer any of those at a future date. After defining contract, now let's see what is the contract management. Contract management is the process of managing legally binding agreements from initiation through execution. Contract management activities include creation and negotiation, execution, compliance monitoring, and renewal or finally close out of the contract or renewal of the contract. Now let's see what is the procurement contracts are. Procurement contracts, which are often called the purchase contracts. These contracts establish a legally binding relationship between the buyers and sellers that protects both parties throughout the procurement process by providing a solid blueprint that allows both parties to work with each other more confidently and smoothly. Usually, procurement contracts include agreed upon details like the quality of the materials to be used or to be purchased, the parameters of services to be provided, delivery dates or times, expenses, fees, cost, and other things for the procurement. Now let's talk about the elements of a successful and functional procurement contract. It should have full consideration of all sourcing processes, robust and comprehensive negotiation, detailed requirements of goods, services, or the product we are buying, precise definition of key contract terms, essential KPIs with specific contractual aspects, awareness of all terms and conditions by all stakeholders, then strategies for ongoing contract management once the bid is completed and the procurement or the project is underway. Now let's talk about the stages of procurement contract management process. So it has like you could be divide them in many stages, but here I divided them into 6 different stages or steps. The first one is the contract initiation. The second one is contract creation and negotiation. The third one is the contract approval. Fourth one is contract execution. Fifth one is a contract monitoring and management. And the last one is a contract renewal or termination. Now let's start explaining these stages one by one. The first one is the contract initiation. So some of the essential tasks we have to do during this stage include need assessment. In this we recognize the requirements for a contract and setting up the goals it aims to accomplish. Then specification development. Clear detailed requirements are documented outlining the scope, quality and standards expected. Then suppliers identification. We do the research for potential suppliers or the service providers capable of meeting our needs. Then designing the terms and conditions, preliminary terms and conditions that will preside over the contract. The next stage is the contract creation and negotiation. Upon the initiation of a contract, it continues to the formulation and negotiation phase. This stage encompasses the drafting, reviewing and negotiation of contract terms, ensuring alignment with the interest of the all participating parties. During the contract creation and negotiation stage, these are the some of the important tasks we have to do. In the first one is the method of procurement. So we have to decide the procurement method, that is like RFP, RFQ or ITB, based on the factors like complexity of the purchase, value and the urgency. Next task in this stage is drafting or creating the solicitations documents, including terms of reference, evaluation criteria and contract conditions, and producing the first contract document encompasses all the terms and the condition. After completing the documents, we advertise these documents in the newspaper or the media. The procurement opportunity is advertised to invite bids or proposal from different pre-qualified contractors. After receiving the bids, we review and redlining during a bidders conference if needed, meeting with the potential suppliers to clarify any aspects of the solicitation documents and get suggestions, alterations or any amendment from potential suppliers. Then the important step in this stage is the negotiation. So engaging in the dialogues to arrive at a consensus that is mutually beneficial for all the parties involved in the contract. Upon reaching an agreement on contract terms, the process of procurement contract management advances to approval phase, which involves acquiring the required approvals and endorsements from all participating parties. Important tasks during the contract approval and awarding stage involve. The first task is legal review, in which we confirm the contract's compliance with the pertinent laws and regulation, and it is usually done by the legal department. Okay, the next task is like stakeholders approval. We secure the approval from the relevant stakeholders within the organization. After that, we get the signatures from stakeholders, formalizing the contract through the acquisition of signature from authorized representative of all parties. Once all the necessary approvals and signatures have been secured, the contract is set for implementation. This phase involves implementing the agreed upon terms covering aspects like delivering goods or services and meeting contractual obligations. The next stage in contract is in procurement contract management is contract monitoring and administrating. So the contract management process extends beyond execution, encompasses ongoing monitoring and administration of the contract. Contract monitoring and administrating stage consist of scrutinizing the contract performance, safeguarding compliances, and addressing any discrepancies or deviation from the main contract. The last stage of procurement contract management is the contract renewal or termination. Since procurement contracts have a limited duration, and this phase involves determining the proper course of action, whether to renew, modify, or conclude the contract. Moreover, this stage encompasses the potential renegotiation of terms if needed. After discussing the different stages of procurement contract management, now let's discuss the types of procurement contracts. The main types of procurement contracts includes fixed price contracts, cost reimbursable contracts, and the third one is the time and materials contract. Now let's discuss one by one. The first type of procurement contract is fixed price contracts. A fixed price contract, also known as a lump sum contract, sets the terms of the purchase, establishes the goods or services provided, when and what price the buyer pays. The advantage of a fixed price contract is that both parties have clearly defined roles and the responsibility in the procurement contract. The sellers knows exactly what they are required to supply, and the buyer knows exactly how much to pay once the contract is complete. Fixed price contracts are straightforward and easy to manage and are the most common types of procurement contracts. The next type of procurement contract is cost reimbursable contracts, in which which is also called a cost control contract, in which the buyer pays for the actual cost of the work completed. In this type of contracts, the buyer agrees to cover the expenses not just for the material and equipment but also for indirect costs like salaries and utilities, and go into creating the product or the services. And in return, vendors will be awarded either a fixed fee or a percentage of the profit over the cost price. Cost reimbursable contracts place much of the risk on the sellers, who initially bears the work's cost and will only receive payment once all expenses have been verified and reconciled. Additionally, if the scope of the work changes, the seller bears the responsibility for absorbing any additional cost those change may trigger. But the seller, to mitigate these risks, builds additional fees for changes beyond the basics to discourage costly adjustment and improve their bottom line. The last type of procurement contracts are called time and materials contracts, which outline payments based on a contractor's time plus cost for the material spent on the project. These types of contracts are done with the service provider like software developer, because the bulk of what they provide falls into the services rather than the material category. In this type of contract, the vendor functions like a contractor or the third-party employee, with most of the cost attributable to the service or work being provided rather than a physical product. These kind of procurement contracts are best when a project's parameters are harder to quantify because it allows more flexibility and ability to change mid-course if needed. On the other hand, these types of procurement contracts generally require more oversight so that the projects stay on the track and within the budget. So these were the different types of procurement contracts. So I hope you have a better understanding of these types of procurement contracts. As we have discussed the importance of procurement contract management in procurement process, I hope after listening this presentation you have basic idea about contracts, contract management and types of contracts in procurement. If you have any question, please write down in the comment section and I will be glad to reply your questions. Thank you for listening and your time. Please take care and have a nice time.